Hello all, this is my next video in the series of clinically oriented anatomy case-based questions and answers with explanations which will help in integrating the knowledge of anatomy with clinical aspects. This video has a clinical scenario-based case followed by structured essay questions related to upper limb part 2. The case is a 31-year-old female is injured in an accident leading to a fracture of the shaft of the humerus. Later on examination, there is loss of cutaneous sensations in the area of anatomical snuff box, lack of sweating on the back of arm and forearm, and she has wrist drop. This case is of 10 marks. The questions related to it are: 1. Enumerate the neurovascular structures most likely injured in this case, which is 1 mark. 2. Describe the origin and branches of the affected artery, which is of 2 marks. 3. Describe the origin, root value and course of the affected nerve, which is of 3 marks. And 4. Explain the anatomical basis of the above clinical findings, which is of 4 marks. Coming to question number 1. Enumerate the neurovascular structures most likely injured in this case. So the most likely neurovascular structures injured in this case are radial nerve and profunda brachii vessels. As you can see here in the X-ray, there is fracture of the mid shaft of the humerus, and here the nerve related is the radial nerve. So radial nerve will be injured and the accompanying profunda brachii vessels. Radial nerve accompanies the profunda brachii vessels in the radial groove or spiral groove on the posterior aspect of the shaft of humerus. So as we can hear, the posterior aspect, and that is the region of the radial or spiral groove where we can see radial nerve and the profunda brachii vessels. Question 2. Describe the origin and branches of the affected artery. So the affected artery is the profunda brachii artery, which is a large branch of brachial artery arising just below teres major muscle. So as we can see in this diagram, this is the teres major muscle, this is the brachial artery, and arising from brachial artery, this is the profunda brachii artery just below the teres major muscle. This profunda brachii artery, it accompanies a radial nerve in the radial groove, and before piercing the lateral intermuscular septum, it will divide into 2 branches, and these are anterior and posterior descending branches which will take part in anastomosis around the elbow joint. The main branches of profunda brachii artery are: 1. Radial collateral artery or anterior descending artery. As we can see in this diagram, this is the radial collateral artery or anterior descending artery, which is one of the terminal branch, actually represents a continuation of profunda brachii artery. Then there is a middle collateral artery or the posterior descending artery. Then there is a deltoid or ascending branch, and there is a nutrient artery to humerus which is often present. Now these two are first arteries, that is the anterior and posterior descending arteries. As we can see here, anterior descending artery or radial collateral artery is one of the terminal branches, represents continuation of profunda brachii artery, and it accompanies the radial nerve, and it ends by anastomosing with the radial recurrent artery in front of lateral epicondyle of humerus. Whereas the middle collateral, that is posterior descending artery, which is the largest terminal branch, descends in the substance of medial head of triceps, and it ends by anastomosing with the interosseous recurrent artery behind the lateral epicondyle of the humerus. The deltoid or ascending branch, as we can see here, the deltoid or ascending branch ascends between long and lateral head of triceps, and it anastomoses with the descending branch of the posterior circumflex humeral artery. And the fourth is nutrient artery to the humerus, which is often present. It enters the bone in the radial groove just behind the deltoid tuberosity. However, we must remember that the main nutrient artery to the humerus is branch of brachial artery. Question 3. Describe the origin, root value and course of the affected nerve. So affected nerve is the radial nerve. Radial nerve is the largest branch of the posterior cord of brachial plexus, which is given off in the lower part of axilla. As we can see here, this is the posterior cord of brachial plexus, and the largest branch, which is the radial nerve in the lower part of axilla. The root value of radial nerve is C5, C6, C7, C8 and T1. If we see the course of radial nerve, first it runs behind the third part of axillary artery, in front of subscapularis, latissimus dorsi and teres major muscles, and then in the upper arm it lies behind the brachial artery. So this is the radial nerve accompanying profunda brachii, and this is the radial nerve here in the arm. Then the radial nerve, after exiting the axilla, it passes posterolaterally along with the profunda brachii vessels through the lower triangular space below the teres major muscle, between the long head of the triceps and the shaft of the humerus. So this is the course of radial nerve through the lower triangular space, and then it enters the spiral groove or the radial groove on the back of humerus, and in the radial groove it runs downwards and laterally between lateral and medial heads of triceps brachii in contact with the humerus. Here we can see the same figure, first passing through lower triangular space and then in the radial groove and then downward and laterally, and at the lower end of the groove it reaches the lateral side of arm 5 cm below deltoid tuberosity and pierces the lateral intermuscular septum to enter the anterior compartment of arm on the lateral aspect, where it can be seen between brachialis and brachioradialis. Then it descends across the lateral epicondyle into the cubital fossa. Here it terminates by dividing into two branches, superficial branch and a deep branch. The deep branch of radial nerve is known as posterior interosseous nerve, and these branches are given off just below the level of lateral epicondyle. So in this figure we can see the terminal branches of radial nerve. One is the deep branch, here we can see, and other is a superficial branch. The superficial branch of radial nerve can be seen beneath brachioradialis muscle, and in the lower part of forearm it winds round and can be seen in the roof of anatomical snuff box. It is a purely sensory nerve. Whereas the deep branch, which is posterior interosseous nerve, it passes through the supinator muscle and enters the posterior or extensor compartment of forearm, where it will supply all the extensors in the posterior compartment of the forearm and the hand. Question 4. Explain the anatomical basis of the above clinical findings. So for that, first we must know the various branches and distribution of radial nerve. So we can here divide the branches of radial nerve, first arising in the axilla, that is above the radial or spiral groove, then within the radial groove, then after passing through radial groove, that is in the anterior compartment of arm, and then the various supply of the deep branch and superficial branch. Now in the axilla, that is above the radial groove, as we can see, this is the radial nerve. It will give posterior cutaneous nerve of arm, which will supply the skin of posterior surface of the arm, and it gives muscular branches to long and medial heads of triceps brachii muscles. Within the radial groove, it will give branches to lateral head of triceps, medial head of triceps brachii. Also gives cutaneous branches, that is lower lateral cutaneous nerve of arm, and this will supply the lower part of the lateral side of arm, and also the posterior cutaneous nerve of forearm, which will supply the skin of posterior surface of the forearm. In addition, it will give branch to anconeus. After passing through radial groove, that is in the anterior compartment of arm, it gives proprioceptive fiber to brachialis muscle and motor fibers to brachioradialis and extensor carpi radialis longus. Whereas the terminal branches, if we see, the superficial branch is a cutaneous branch. The superficial branch will supply the skin over the anatomical snuff box, the skin of the dorsum of the lateral 2/3 to half of the hand, and the 3 1/2 digits, except the skin over the proximal phalanges. whereas the deep branch, that is posterior interosseous nerve, will supply all the extensors in the posterior compartment of forearm. And these various muscles are extensor carpi radialis brevis, supinator, then there is extensor digitorum, extensor carpi ulnaris, extensor indicis, extensor digiti minimi, abductor pollicis longus, extensor pollicis brevis, and extensor pollicis longus. So what are the effects of radial nerve injury due to fracture of the shaft of humerus in the region of radial or spiral groove? There is weakness of extension of the forearm at the elbow joint. Not the total loss, because as we have seen that the main extensor of the elbow is the triceps brachii muscle, and we have already seen that the branches to the long head and the medial head, they are already given above the spiral groove, whereas within the spiral groove the medial and lateral head will be supplied. So there is a part of triceps muscle which will escape paralysis. So there is not total loss but weakness of the extension of the elbow. In addition, there will be sensory loss over a narrow strip on the back of forearm, as we can see here. Also on the lateral side of the dorsum of hand, that is the area of anatomical snuff box. Also the dorsum of the lateral 2/3 or half of the hand and 3.5 digits, except the skin over the proximal phalanges. As the radial nerve also contains sympathetic postganglionic nerve fibers whose cell bodies are located in the sympathetic chain ganglion, and these will eventually supply sweat glands, blood vessels and arrector pili muscles of skin. That's why there is loss of sweating on the back of arm and forearm, which is seen in this patient. And lastly, there will be wrist drop, as we can see here. Wrist drop is because of the weakness and loss of power of extension at the wrist. This is because the extensors of the wrist supplied by radial nerve and its posterior interosseous branch are affected. Wrist drop is quite disabling because the patient cannot grip any object firmly in the hand without the synergistic action of the extensors. So this is the anatomical basis of various clinical findings seen in this patient. So thank you. Keep sharing, like and subscribe my channel if you benefit from this video, and look forward to more such case-based scenarios involving clinical anatomy of all the regions of the body. Thank you.